In today's video we played Xborg in a ranked game on the original server, and same as the usual, we will discuss all the good and bad decisions made in the game and what could have been done better. The emblem we used in the game is the fighter emblem with 3 points on physical attack and 3 points on bonus HP. Xborg doesn't really need damage penetration, so we decided not to put any points on it. HP, on the other hand, is something Xborg needs since he has very little HP whenever he uses up his Faraga armor. As for the emblem talent, we had the Festival of Blood for obvious reasons. Let's now talk about the draft picks. As usual, we were able to pick last by switching our allies first, allowing us to counter as many heroes as possible. Gatot was a horrible pick in this game since a lot of our heroes do not rely heavily on physical damage. He is a very tanky hero, but his passive only improves his physical defense, not magic, and most especially not true damage. Kimmy and Vale both rely heavily on magic damage, while Carrie and Xborg both specialize in dealing true damage, which therefore means Gatot's passive ability is close to useless against us four. Odette's ultimate requires her to channel and stay still for most of its duration in order for it to deal damage, which can easily be countered by Vale, Franco, and of course Xborg. Alice is a pretty formidable XP laner, but her full potential really shines best on the late game and is pretty underwhelming on the early game. The only real threats in that game were Wanwan and Lancelot because of their very good mobility and abilities that give them immunity. The good news is we had Franco on our side, which is one of the few heroes with suppression. For those new to the channel, suppression is the most powerful type of control effect since it cannot be cleansed by any ability. Not even Purify can dispel suppression. Overall, our team had a good matchup against the enemies, and losing this game would have been humiliating. To avoid the mess the enemy team put themselves in, remember to always take the draft seriously and pick a hero the enemies will have difficulty going against. And you'll only be able to be a good drafter if you read and analyze hero abilities, so make sure to familiarize yourself with as many heroes as possible, even the ones you never pick. If you want to learn more on how to play any role on any lane, I suggest watching the following videos. The links are in the description. We decided to head to the lane quickly in order to cut the enemy team's top lane. We were confident in cutting the lane since Xborg is an excellent matchup regardless if Gatot or Alice is the opposing XP laner. Cutting the lane allowed us to either join clashes early or invade alone. We got Dagger as our initial item just so we had additional thump on damage, which also helped us clear the minion waves faster. Usually, I will recommend players to protect their lane from possible lane cuts, but in that situation, Alice did the right thing of ignoring us and instead headed straight for our minions. She would have easily lost to Xborg at level 1 since Xborg's first skill not only is capable of dealing decent damage against multiple enemies, it also has a very short cooldown. Since we were successful in cutting the lane, we can either join the mid lane and possibly kill one of the enemies, or we can invade the orange buff. Since Odette disappeared, we decided to just invade, especially since I noticed that the enemy jungler was not yet taking the orange buff. Another reason why I was confident in attempting to invade the orange buff was because the Litho Wanderer was situated closer to it. Lancelot most likely will try and take the Litho Wanderer first before taking the orange buff, which is enough time for us to steal the orange buff completely. Since we were able to steal the orange buff, the odds of us out-leveling Lancelot is fairly high, so we used Flicker just to reach the top lane faster in order to gain more experience and gold. Remember that non-jungler heroes get less rewards from jungle creeps than lane minions, so it's very important for us to get as much experience and gold as possible. If you notice that your XP laner is attempting to steal the enemy team's buff, be thankful because despite knowing that they will get less rewards by stealing jungle creeps, they still did just to help the team win. That is one of the riskiest and most unselfish plays in the game. Lancelot did the right thing not helping Alice. Why? Because Lancelot was still level 3 when we attacked her. Not only does Lancelot have very few skills to defeat Xborg in that situation, he would have been very squishy, which would have helped Xborg gain more HP from Spell Vamp. Even if Lancelot joined, Xborg would still survive and Lancelot would end up with less HP, and no experience gained. Since the turtle was about to appear, it was vital for Lancelot to avoid unnecessary clashes and gain as much experience as possible in order to reach level 4 and acquire his ultimate. At this point, since the turtle has appeared, the mid laner, jungler, and roamer should start approaching the turtle. Franco arrived right on time in case Lancelot dove in. We would have preferred if they were there earlier, but no harm done, so no use renting. We noticed that Franco and Vale were low on HP while Odette and Gatot were trying to push further, so we decided to help out. Oh well, at least we forced the enemies on the mid lane to back off.
Fire! Let's turn up the heat!
Enemy missing.
Alice, for some reason, was very confident and decided to cut the lane. Now there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that was the right play. However, she should have played more cautiously and held off from committing to a duel. To the untrained eye, this might look like Xborg was at a disadvantage. Actually, that's not completely true. Xborg might have very low HP during that time and Alice might have more, but look at his energy and then look at Alice's current mana. As soon as Xborg's energy got filled up, his armor regenerated, thus giving him the ability to attack using his ultimate, and since Alice had very little mana left, she had very limited options in winning that duel. To make matters worse for her, we saw that the enemies were all on the mid lane, which means nobody would be able to help her, and we can have Xborg fully commit to a duel against Alice with minimal risks. Think critically and analyze the situation as much as you can, and don't forget to check the minimap as frequently as possible in order for you to make better decisions. We decided to buy tough boots just because not too many enemy heroes relied on physical basic attacks. Tough boots is also a good option in that game since it reduces time control, thus making it challenging for the enemies to pin Xborg down.
Enemy missing.
Our intention was to only reduce Alice HP using Xborg's first skill and force her to play defensively. However, she decided to use her first skill towards us. Upon realizing that, we decided to go all out and use Xborg's ultimate. After all, her only chance of escape has been used. At the time, we were positive Lancelot would eventually try to kill Xborg. Us staying on the lane was very risky. Normally I would suggest recalling back to base, especially since we did not have any good defensive equipment against Lancelot's burst damage.
Initiate retreat!
Just as we thought, here's Lancelot. Like I said earlier, try your best to learn and be aware of how all of the hero's skills work. Lancelot's second skill deals the highest damage when the target is in the middle, which is why we did our best to dodge it, or at the very least, stay away from the center. Since we did, we were able to survive his skill combos and even managed to dodge his ultimate. Since our armor got filled up, it gave us more confidence in destroying the minion wagon. Since Lancelot was already close to the turtle, it was pretty obvious that they would attempt to take the turtle down, which is why we decided to provide vision to our allies and encourage them to contest it. If possible, we would also try to steal the turtle using Xborg's ultimate.
Launch attack!
Sadly, we were too late. However, Gatot was left alone to battle against our team. In that situation, we decided to isolate Gatot and discourage Lancelot from joining the fight. Since we had very little HP left and Alice was there, we decided to defend the top turret instead. Remember to analyze the enemy positions so that you wouldn't waste time unnecessarily recalling back to base. Especially for a hero like Xborg, who has incredible regenerative capabilities. Afterwards, we decided to go with the Ice Queen Wand in order to prevent the enemies from easily escaping. Ice Queen Wand is a very good item for Xborg since he greatly benefits from all of its stats except only for magic lifesteal. Keep in mind that despite Xborg's skills having the ability to scale based on magic power, all of his skills deal either physical damage or true damage only, which means he won't be able to gain HP from magic lifesteal. That's not an issue though, since we selected Festival of Blood, which made up for our lack of spell vamp items.
Launch attack!
The next item we got was immortality. We consider that item one of Xborg's core items since his energy gets replenished upon resurrection, which then fills up his armor. Sometimes, if Xborg's ultimate is available, he can even outplay and destroy multiple enemies thanks to that perk. At that point in the game, Alice already gained a lot of her stacks, which made it extra challenging to take her down. To make matters worse, we were rooted, thus preventing us from activating Xborg's ultimate. If our mid lane turret gets destroyed, the enemies would gain a significant bonus, further increasing their gold lead, so we had to do something to stop them fast.
Launch attack! Request backup!
The next item we got was Antique Cuirass. While it's true that Lancelot and Wan were both underperforming, they were both gaining significant experience and gold still. If we are not careful, eventually, they will have the ability to take Xborg down with ease. Having Antique Cuirass prevents them from doing that. Since our allies were able to clear a significant number of enemies, we decided to take the Lord. That was the perfect time considering that Lancelot was dead, therefore, the chances of stealing the Lord is close to 0.
Request backup! An ally has slain Lord! Enemy has been
Why should I care for anyone else?
Initiate!
Am I scary? Don't worry, I'm just a kid.
Clear up lanes.
This was a bad move by Alice. Their allies were behind while Xborg was close by between our allies and the other enemies, and isolating enemies is where Xborg is so good at. Since Alice engaged in a fight too early, we took advantage of that and advanced in order to break the enemy formation and isolate them.
Launch attack!
What are you looking at? I'm more complete.
Legendary!
Super happy with my
Ally has been slain. Double kill! Enemy double kill!
We got Nicholas of Durance next in order to minimize the healing capabilities of the enemy team, especially Alice.
technology. What a stupid thing!
Legendary!
The next item we had was Athena's shield in order for Xborg to be able to tank Odette's tremendous magic damage.
Yeah! I'm super happy with my cyborg body. Fire!
Legendary!
Fire!
Team destroyed
Turn
the
up
turret!
heat.
Has been slain. Launch attack! Your team destroyed the turret! Launch attack! An ally has been slain. Godlike! Your team destroyed the turret! Request backup! Your team destroyed the turret!
That concludes our Mobile Legends content for today. Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts on the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe, everyone. Peace.